Listen carefully, because this is a truth many overlooks. Men need absence to know you're the one. It's not about playing games or testing loyalty. It's about revealing the depth of value that presence alone can't always show. When you are always there, easily reachable, it's easy to take your worth for granted. But when you step back, when you create space, something powerful happens. Absence becomes the mirror that reflects your true significance. Think about the sun. When it hides behind the clouds, the world suddenly remembers how much light it gives. When you are constantly available, your light can dim in the eyes of someone who doesn't yet fully see your brilliance. But when you allow absence to speak, your value shouts louder than any words ever could. This is not a call to withdraw out of fear or insecurity. It's a declaration of self-respect and confidence. It's saying, I'm not disposable. I am worthy of being sought after, cherished, and recognized for the treasure I am. And understand this. Absence is not emptiness, but a space filled with purpose, waiting for the right eyes to see what's truly there. Worldwide. Have you ever noticed how sometimes the closer someone is to you, the less they seem to appreciate who you truly are? It's a strange paradox. When you are always present, always available, your value can become invisible, almost taken for granted. This is the hidden power of absence. It reveals what presence alone often conceals. When you step back, even just a little, you give space for your worth to breathe, to be seen in a way that constant proximity rarely allows. Think about it. When someone or something is always there, it becomes part of the background noise of life. Like the air we breathe or the furniture we sit on, familiarity dulls attention. But when that same presence is removed, even temporarily, a vacuum is created, and that vacuum has a way of drawing focus. Absence sharpens awareness. It causes the mind to pause, reflect, and recognize the true value that had been overshadowed by routine closeness. This is not a trick or manipulation. It's a natural law of human psychology. We are wired to desire what we cannot always have. The allure of mystery and distance awakens curiosity and appreciation. When you make yourself too accessible, you risk becoming ordinary in someone's eyes. But when you create space, even with subtlety, you remind others that you are extraordinary, something worth seeking, wanting, and ultimately cherishing. Imagine a precious gem hidden in plain sight. If it's always visible, sparkling on your finger every day, it might become overlooked. But if it were removed and then shown again, its brilliance would be noticed all the more. Your value, your uniqueness, your strengths, they shine brightest when given the chance to be rediscovered through absence. There's also an emotional layer to this truth. Absence creates room for longing. Longing is the heart's way of acknowledging that something or someone is missing and deeply desired. When you are constantly present, there is no space for longing. And without longing, there is no urgency or desire. Desire is the fuel that propels connection deeper. It transforms casual interaction into meaningful pursuit. When you allow absence to be part of your dynamic, you stir that desire, reminding others that you are not just there by chance, you are there because you are chosen. But absence must be intentional and rooted in self-respect, not fear or insecurity. It is not about running away or hiding. It is about standing firm in your value and refusing to be taken for granted. It is a quiet but powerful declaration. I am worthy of your attention, your respect, and your effort. This declaration shifts the balance of relationships from dependency to mutual appreciation. It creates a space where admiration can grow naturally rather than be demanded or assumed. And here's the beauty. Absence does not mean disconnection. It means giving yourself the grace to exist independently, to live fully on your own terms, and to shine even when you are not in the immediate spotlight. It says that your worth is not tied to constant validation, but is inherent and unshakable. When absence reveals this kind of value, it changes how others see you. It invites respect, admiration, and genuine desire. So, if you find yourself always giving, always present, yet feeling overlooked or unappreciated, consider the power of stepping back. Not as a retreat, but as a bold move to remind the world that you are a treasure, not a convenience. Because sometimes the most powerful way to be seen is to let yourself be missed. Have you ever felt invisible in a room full of people who should see you clearly? It's a painful experience, being overlooked, unheard, or taken for granted by those who matter most. Yet, what if the key to gaining the respect and recognition you deserve isn't just in being seen all the time, but in creating space where your absence demands attention? This space, this purposeful distance, is not emptiness. It's a powerful statement that says, I am not here to be taken lightly. Creating space in relationships or in life is like drawing a boundary line that says, I value myself enough to not be constantly available. When you do this, you shift the dynamic from one where you are always the giver, always at their beck and call, to one where you command respect because you recognize your own worth. This act of stepping back isn't about pushing people away. It's about positioning yourself as a person who is worthy of pursuit and admiration. There is something magnetic about a person who knows when to say no, when to pause, and when to let others wonder about their absence. It ignites curiosity. It challenges complacency. It forces others to stop and reevaluate what you mean to them. When you stop filling every silence and stop answering every call, you create a vacuum that invites deeper reflection on your true value. People begin to realize what it is they've been missing. Not just your presence, but the energy, the joy, and the strength you bring. This is where respect is born. Respect is not demanded, it is earned through the way you carry yourself, the boundaries you set, and the value you refuse to dilute. When you make yourself too accessible, you risk becoming a convenience rather than a priority. But when you create space, you remind others that you are a prize, not a given. That space is a silent message that says, I am important enough to be missed. I am important enough to be sought after. Emotionally, this can be challenging. Creating space means resisting the urge to fill every moment with presence out of fear of losing connection. It means trusting that your worth does not depend on constant validation, but on your confidence in who you are. It takes courage to step back and say, I deserve respect, and I will not settle for less. Yet, that courage transforms how others treat you. It changes the conversation from, why aren't you always here, to, when you're gone, I realize how much you matter. When you choose to create space, you are also creating a healthier relationship dynamic. It removes codependency and fosters mutual appreciation. Both sides learn to value time together and time apart. Absence doesn't weaken bonds, it strengthens them by allowing both people to grow individually and recognize the unique contribution each brings. This balance builds respect naturally because it's rooted in understanding and admiration rather than neediness or obligation. This principle applies beyond just relationships. In work, in friendship, even in your own personal growth, creating space is about claiming your time, your energy, and your worth. It means saying no to constant demands and yes to self-respect. When you do this, you model a powerful lesson. Respect starts with valuing yourself, and once you do that, others are compelled to follow suit. Not because they have to, but because they want to. Imagine the shift that happens when people realize you are not endlessly available like a background fixture. Instead, you are a presence that matters so much, your absence causes ripples. It invites them to step up, to appreciate more deeply, to approach you with the honor and regard you deserve. This is the transformative power of space. It's not emptiness, but a canvas on which respect is painted. So when you hesitate to create distance for fear of losing attention, remember this: true respect grows where self-worth is firmly planted. Creating space is not pushing others away. It is calling them closer in a way that honors who you are. Because respect is never given to those who let themselves be overlooked. It is earned by those who show they cannot be ignored. Have you ever felt the urge to pull away? Not because you want to run from a relationship or a situation, but because you want to remind yourself and others that you matter. It's a powerful, sometimes misunderstood move. Too often, stepping back is seen as weakness, as fear, or even as rejection. But in reality, being unavailable at times is not a sign of insecurity. It's an act of profound self-respect and confidence. Think about this. When you are constantly available, always saying yes, always there at the beck and call of others, what message are you sending? Are you saying, I value myself enough to set boundaries? Or are you silently telling the world, I can be taken for granted? The truth is, when you never create distance, your presence can become expected, almost assumed, and assumptions breed neglect. But when you choose to be unavailable, not out of fear, but out of deliberate intention, you are saying something powerful without speaking a single word. You are communicating, I know my worth, and I won't settle for anything less than genuine respect and appreciation. This isn't about playing games or manipulation. It's about holding firm to your sense of value. It's about not allowing your availability to be mistaken for unlimited supply. There is a deep psychological truth here. Scarcity increases value. It's why we desire things more when they aren't easily within reach. When you make yourself too accessible, you risk becoming ordinary, interchangeable. But when you step back, when you say no or create space, suddenly you become someone to be pursued, someone who stands apart. This isn't arrogance, it's wisdom. It's knowing that your time, energy, and presence are precious resources. Now, emotionally, this can be uncomfortable. The temptation to always say yes, to avoid conflict, to keep peace, to be liked is strong. But here lies the difference between insecurity and confidence. Insecurity fears being alone or rejected, so it clings. Confidence embraces the possibility of solitude because it knows its own value. It trusts that being true to oneself will attract the right kind of attention, the right kind of respect. Being unavailable isn't about avoidance. It's about creating space for genuine connection to grow. When you allow yourself to be too available, relationships can become one-sided, draining, or hollow. But by setting healthy limits, you foster a dynamic where respect, effort, and appreciation are earned. People learn to value the moments you choose to share because they are not taken for granted. Consider the emotional impact on the other person. Absence can awaken appreciation, curiosity, and even longing. It invites them to step up, to reflect on what you bring to their life, and to recognize the unique value you hold. You become someone not simply present by convenience, but someone worthy of intention. That shift in perception is where true respect begins. And here's the greatest secret. Being unavailable at times shows strength, not weakness. It demonstrates you are the author of your own life, not a passive participant in someone else's story. It means you protect your peace, guard your heart, and demand the dignity you deserve. It's a bold statement that says, I am not defined by constant presence. I am defined by my worth. This mindset transforms relationships and self-perception alike. It frees you from the exhausting cycle of people-pleasing and sets you on a path of authentic connection. You no longer chase approval because you already know who you are. And when others see that confidence, they are naturally drawn to it. They respect it, they admire it, and they respond to it. So the next time you feel the pull to withdraw, don't rush to label it as insecurity. Instead, see it as a powerful act of self-love and confidence. Being unavailable is not about fear of loss. It's about claiming your value and demanding the respect that comes with it. Because those who truly matter will recognize and honor the strength it takes to stand firm in your worth. Have you ever noticed how sometimes the things we don't say or the spaces we leave behind speak louder than words ever could? Absence acts like a powerful mirror. It reflects your true significance in ways constant presence never can. When you're always there, it's easy for others to overlook the depth of who you are. But when you step away, even briefly, something remarkable happens. Your value becomes impossible to ignore. Imagine walking into a room and suddenly realizing that the person who usually fills it with energy is no longer there. The silence feels different, heavier, more meaningful. That absence creates a space where your mind begins to fill in the blanks. It wonders, it remembers, it reassesses. In that empty space, your significance shines through like a spotlight, illuminating what was hidden in plain sight. This is the unique power of absence. It acts as a reflection, revealing what presence often conceals. When you are constantly available, your worth can be lost in the noise of everyday interactions. People may take your presence for granted, assuming it will always be there. But remove yourself, and suddenly the space you leave behind becomes a canvas where your importance is vividly painted. Think about relationships, whether with a partner, friend, or colleague. When you pull back, not out of spite, but with intention, you allow others to experience the weight of your absence. This isn't about playing games or creating distance to confuse. It's about letting them see you clearly without distractions. Absence forces reflection. It invites a pause, a moment of clarity that can lead to deeper understanding. Emotionally, this reflection can stir feelings of longing, appreciation, and sometimes regret. It's a gentle but powerful way to show others that your presence is not just habitual, it's a gift. When you constantly give without pause, your value can blend into the background. But when you allow absence to speak, you remind others that you are a treasure, not a given. This mirror effect also serves as a lesson in self-awareness. When you step away, you have a chance to see yourself through the eyes of others. How do they respond to your absence? Do they notice the space you fill? Do they realize the energy and joy you bring? This reflection is a moment of truth, not just for them, but for you as well. Absence challenges complacency. It disrupts routines and shakes up expectations. It asks both you and those around you to consider what is truly valuable and meaningful. It's a call to recognize the unique role you play in the lives you touch. And it's a reminder that your worth is not measured by constant presence, but by the depth of your impact. When absence acts as this powerful mirror, it changes the way relationships function. It moves them from dependence on constant interaction to appreciation of meaningful connection. It creates space for growth, for longing, and for genuine respect. People learn to cherish the moments you choose to share because they understand those moments are precious. This dynamic also protects your own heart and energy. By stepping back, you avoid burnout and preserve your sense of self. You remind yourself that you are not defined by others' demands or expectations. Instead, you define your value, and absence becomes a tool to communicate that truth without saying a word. The beauty of this mirror effect is that it's subtle but undeniable. It doesn't force recognition, but invites it. It doesn't demand attention, but earns it. And when others see you reflected in the space you leave behind, they begin to understand that your presence is a gift, one that deserves respect, gratitude, and care. So next time you hesitate to create distance, remember, absence is not emptiness. It is a reflection of your significance. It's the silent voice that reveals what constant presence sometimes hides. Because sometimes the clearest way to be seen is to let yourself be missed. Have you ever found yourself surrounded by people, yet feeling invisible, like no one truly sees or values you? It's a painful experience. But what if the reason isn't about who you are, but about the distance needed to appreciate your presence fully? True appreciation often comes not when you're constantly in front of others, but when absence gives them the space to realize what you really mean to their lives. It's easy to think that showing up every time, saying yes to every request, and always being available is the way to be valued. But in reality, non-stop presence can dull the impact you have. When you are always there, your uniqueness can fade into the background, like a song played on repeat until it no longer catches the ear. People begin to take for granted the value you bring, assuming it will always be there. Appreciation is a curious thing. It thrives on contrasts. It needs the pull of absence to highlight presence. Imagine a room with a single candle flickering. If the candle burns continuously without pause, its light can blend into the ambient glow and become overlooked. But if the candle is momentarily extinguished and then relit, the sudden return of its flame commands attention and admiration. This is how appreciation often works. It awakens when absence allows space for reflection. There's an emotional rhythm to this truth. Absence creates longing, and longing opens the heart to gratitude. When someone is not constantly available, their absence stirs a deeper awareness of their value. It invites the mind and heart to revisit memories, qualities, and moments shared. It transforms casual presence into treasured significance. This dynamic isn't about playing hard to get or causing unnecessary distance. It's about understanding the balance between being present and allowing space. It's a strategic rhythm where absence isn't emptiness, but an intentional pause that invites appreciation. When you give people room to miss you, you create a powerful emotional pull that draws them closer with renewed respect and admiration. Consider the relationships in your life. When was the last time you felt truly appreciated? Was it during a time of constant interaction or after a period where space allowed the significance of your presence to be felt? Often it is in the quiet moments of absence that the heart wakes up to what it has been overlooking. This principle extends beyond relationships, in your work, your passions, even your personal growth. Appreciation grows when there is contrast. When you step away or pause, you give yourself a chance to be seen anew, not just as a constant fixture, but as someone with distinct value and purpose. This space creates perspective, and perspective is the soil where appreciation takes root. Emotionally, this can be challenging. We want to be needed, wanted, and seen. We fear that absence might lead to forgetting or replacement. But true appreciation does not fade in absence. It deepens. It transforms superficial attention into meaningful recognition. It shifts the energy from obligation to gratitude. When you embrace this truth, you reclaim your power. You understand that your worth isn't tied to constant approval, but to the impact you make when present. You allow yourself to step back, not out of fear of doubt, but as an act of self-respect and wisdom. You trust that those who truly value you will not only notice your absence, but will actively seek your presence with greater reverence. Imagine the change that comes when people begin to see you not as a constant given, but as a rare treasure whose presence enriches their lives. This shift invites deeper connections, stronger bonds, and a genuine appreciation that sustains over time. It creates relationships and environments where respect and gratitude are the natural response, not the exception. So remember this: appreciation often requires absence to be fully realized. It is the distance that allows the heart to recognize value, the pause that lets the mind reflect on worth. Because sometimes the greatest way to be honored is to give others the space to understand what you truly mean to them. As you embrace the wisdom of creating space and allowing absence to reveal your true worth, remember, this journey is about honoring yourself first. When you value who you are deeply, others are naturally drawn to recognize and respect that value. Trust the process, have confidence in your worth, and watch how absence transforms into the most powerful expression of presence. Thank you for listening with an open heart. I wish you all the strength and clarity to stand firm in your value and the courage to let your absence speak volumes. Good luck on this path of self-discovery and empowerment.